In this video, we're going to talk about the issues I see with Ruby on Rails in 2022. Now, I apologize in advance for the clickbait on this video. I don't normally do clickbait style videos, but I thought this was kind of interesting because something I observed recently, and it does concern me a bit about Ruby on Rails. And as you know, if you've watched any of my content on this channel, in the past, I've done a lot of different videos on Ruby on Rails, and I also run a website where I sell web app templates for startups, so common web app templates, and I also do courses on Ruby on Rails. So this is a space I am watching very closely, and I'll include a link in the description if you want to check any of these products out. And something that was kind of brought to my attention recently, and I've noticed this several times over the past few months, is that most of the jobs in the web development space for Ruby on Rails, these days they all seem to be looking for senior level Ruby on Rails developers, which is a bit of a concern when you think about new people wanting to get into this space and the future of Ruby on Rails 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Where does that leave us? Just to show you what I mean, I've pulled up a few different remote job websites to let you guys see how frequently the Ruby on Rails jobs are listed for senior developers, and I haven't seen a single junior developer role in Ruby on Rails in a long time. So the first site I'm looking at here is Remote OK, and I'm just doing a search for senior just to show you. I've already searched for Ruby on Rails, but you can see here that senior is coming up very, very frequently. And even in the cases where it's not mentioned, normally there will at least be 2 to 3 years experience in Ruby on Rails required. So it's at least intermediate, but in most cases they're looking for senior. It's not just this site. This seems to be the common trend across multiple sites for Ruby on Rails jobs. Over and over again, senior, senior, everything senior. You can see here like 7, 8 jobs in a row, all senior. And some of these companies, I see them advertising multiple times, like coming back a few months later, advertising for senior jobs again. So what happens to anyone getting into this space now as a junior? Is it possible to actually get a remote job as a junior? I'm not sure if this is just a remote job thing or in the local markets, is it easier? So you can see here there are tons and tons of listings for senior developers in comparison to those that do not mention it, at least. So I haven't seen a single job on any of these job boards that mention junior. All senior every time. If it's not mentioning senior, then it's probably something like a staff engineer or team lead or something like that. But it's very rare to see anything that doesn't mention that it is a senior role. And if it doesn't mention it as a senior role, then you're probably gonna get into the listing and they will say something like require so many years experience. So that's a pretty common thing that I've been noticing. Let me just click on this one, scroll down. Senior level Ruby on Rails experience. So even though they didn't put it in the title, it is there in the description. Yeah, I found this kind of interesting, and I thought maybe some of you guys have opinions on this and what's actually happening on the ground. So I don't work a full-time job. I work freelance, and I do several small businesses on the side. But this is something that I've been kind of curious about because I've been watching the job space a little bit, and even just to keep myself sharp, I've done some job interviews in the Ruby on Rails space. So remote jobs in Ruby on Rails is something that is a very unusual situation right now. There's pretty much no junior jobs out there and almost no intermediate, just a few intermediate, I guess, are out there. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Is the lack of junior jobs in Ruby on Rails a concern to you? Does this mean that we are starting to see the end of the line for Ruby on Rails? Or perhaps this is a remote issue. Maybe it is in the remote space where they feel like they can trust a senior dev more than a junior dev. So there may be an argument there that the junior developer, they want to have them in the office so that if there are any issues, they can get on top of it right away. Whereas the trust factor is there for the senior developer to be able to do any of the tasks required. It's something interesting to me, and I would love to know what you guys think. So let me know in the comments below your thoughts on this. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.